All right, hello everyone. Today I want to do something fun for myself, so I am going to be teaching students how to mind map by utilizing an example of my personal hatred for Drake. If I do this well, I will have accomplished two goals. One is show students an example of how you can mind map. It's not the only way, but it is one way. And second, I hopefully will accomplish spreading the Drake hate, which is very important to me personally. So, without further ado, let's mind map my Drake hatred. Okay, where to begin? We're going to begin with, obviously, Drake. And we need to do a little bit of background on who Drake is to give you a better sense of what it is that is the issue with Drake. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first start off here, and I'm going to separate this into Drake's true self, who he really is, and then the image he's trying to represent. And what I'm going to claim is that it's not the same. So let's do a little background. On who Drake is. He's a Canadian. He has a Jewish mom who raised him. He has a black dad who really wasn't present for his developmental phase. Let's see, middle class. Okay, so just so you know, this is just the first draft. So these mind maps are living documents. They're ones that you should always be ones that you adjust and edit along the way as needed. So this is just one way that I'm doing it. I would most likely probably clean this up for myself, rearrange this information in a way that makes more sense. And that's actually part of the process, right? So reorganizing this information is part of the learning process you do with mind maps. Okay, so what's the image that Drake is trying to present? Well, he tries to present himself as cool, which he's not. At some point, I think it was like street or urban or tough, which he's none of these things. He doesn't know anything about it. Smooth or sexy, which he's not. I could go on and on. Okay, so these are all. This is just an idea of who Drake actually is versus who presents himself to be, and this discrepancy indicates inauthenticity in who he is and how he lives his life. Okay, we're going to return to this idea. Okay, so let's see. Drake, then, he is big for his music. That's what he's known for. So let's talk a little bit about his music. Let's see. Some information about his music. He is just mid in the strict definition of the word. Makes a bunch of pop music. Like the equivalent would be like someone like Taylor Swift. Right? Taylor Swift would probably be the closest equivalent. Let's see. Music is generic. This kind of goes with being pop, right? Generic. Definitely lacks creativity. Okay, in terms of musical talent, he sucks at rap, he sucks at singing, and he sucks at dancing. He can't do any of these things. So in terms of, like I said, pop artist, he's like the most mid-pop artist. More specifically, his music, he tries to enter into hip-hop. This is where my first hatred for him comes in. So he tries to enter into hip-hop. This horrible handwriting, but it's okay. All right, so there's something that you need to know about hip hop, right? So here again, dividing line, right? Real hip hop, what they value, are things like authenticity, right? Let's see. You usually want to speak from experience, okay? So which means it's generally not compatible with having ghostwriters. Although there might be, it needs to still be true to your experience. Hip hop is just at its roots, right? Street urban culture. Okay. And this is definitely not Toronto middle class suburban. These are not the same things. Okay. So you're already seeing something here, right? Which is Drake at his core is inauthentic, and this just violates a core principle of hip hop, right? Instead, Drake is a bunch of lying garbage, right? So this is what you get with Drake. So maybe in the future, I would probably, right, real Drake here. Maybe I'll go ahead and move this down here in the future. Again, like I said, part of the fun of doing these mind maps is that you're constantly editing as needed in order to physically move these things around in a way that makes most sense to you. Okay. But see here, I notice on the right hand side I left a lot of room, and there's a reason for it because I knew that the biggest issue that I have with Drake is actually his morals, right? So look, He's a mid artist, right? Let's see, mid. Don't like that. Don't like that. The fact that he stinks at all these things. Don't like any of these things. Okay. The fact that he's inauthentic. He's not really hip hop. Okay. All these things bother me. Okay. But these are all just like, how do I put it? These are all mild concerns compared to the real kind of problem with Drake. And the real problem with Drake has to do with, and again, this is going to actually bleed in from some facts about who he is, as you'll see, though it's going to take a few steps to get there. Is that he has a string of ethical violations in my eyes, okay? This has to do with who he is as a musician, the way that he uses hip hop culture, just so many things about him. So I'm going to try to run down the list, but I decided that for the sake of clarity in the way that I structured this mind map, I'm going to go based off of order, descending order of like bad to worst, right? So we got worst down here. His worst behavior is going to be down here. Okay. All right. So to start us off, we're going to start off with a bang. He steals music. This is not something new. I think even with his new Iceman album, there's already been accusations of stealing of some kind. But, we already know that he has been taking from ghostwriters. This is the OVO sweatshop, where he has a bunch of people working for him. He just does, and the key here is that he doesn't give credit to any of them. That's really the issue. He doesn't give sufficient credit in any case, right? But then we also have examples of XXS Tentacion. Okay. Who else has he stolen from? I feel like he's stolen from quite... Oh, yeah, there's that guy for... I forgot the name, but it was the Hotline Bling song. That was a case where he stole... you could just go down the list. There's probably a lot of examples. So I'm going to leave that open for you to go ahead and do the investigation. But there are definitely cases of this. Let's see. Okay. The other thing that he does is, it's similar to stealing music, right? He inflates his numbers. And this is through things like botting streams. And you could argue like, oh, there's no like clear-cut proof. He hasn't been charged with it. Okay, if you need proof, you need to be, you need him to be convicted for any of this to, be confirmed. Fine, you could wait for it. I am pretty sure that he's engaging in some of it. Now, some of this is just standard industry practice. I wouldn't be surprised if other artists are doing something similar, and Drake is not the only one. But Drake is one of the few where he has a particular, and his fans will come back to him. Emphasis on the numbers is a pretty common theme with regards to Drake and how he presents himself as somebody who's, awesome or whatever he believes he is. Okay. All right. Let's see. So then the next thing is that he has a gambling addiction, which isn't a problem, but he is pushing it on the youth. He's doing this through stake. You can look this stuff up. I mean, look, all the things I'm pointing out about Drake, like none of this is a secret. This stuff is out there. It's just that people don't seem to be paying attention. So I'm just kind of creating a mind map where I just put it all together for you. But all this information, you don't need to do much. You just do a quick Google search and you can find all this information. Articles written from credible sources about what's going on. Some of this is like stuff that Drake himself is putting out there, right? So the gambling thing is one where he's out there, right, promoting state gambling because he's on these streams gambling, and then a lot of the audience there are going to be very, very young boys, right? So some of them who really are not legally able to gamble, but, either way, he's trying to push it onto the youth. That is a disgusting thing to do. Now, you could argue like, oh, this is happening everywhere. Like, gambling is being pushed all over the place. Fine. Well, he's one of the ones that are doing it, so he's part of the problem. Okay. So maybe you think, this is not like a particularly huge deal. For me, it's bad enough that it makes it onto the list in the place that it does. Okay. All right. What's next? Then we have the way that he uses black culture and hip-hop culture generally. Kendrick used the word colonizer. I think that is an apt description. And this is interesting because Drake is black. Like, there's no denying that Drake is black. but he's also not like Eminem is white, but Eminem probably has more respect in the hip hop community because Eminem doesn't use black culture in the way that Drake does, which is like just mind blowing. Um, Eminem is white and from Detroit, and like I mean, he has he grew up in a certain circle where he was exposed to black culture, but maybe because of that he knew like not to be a complete jerk and steal from other people's culture and use it for his own benefit. Now the key here is this: like Drake is using it for his to line his own pocket. Like that's really the problem. He is doing what colonizers do. He is using what is of value to other people and then using it to line his own pocket, which is the most disgusting part. It's not even to give back to the black community or to hip hop culture. He's doing it for self promotion. That selfish jerk. Okay. Then you have some more really seriously egregious stuff, right? So his recent lawsuit of towards UMG, right? So he's filed a lawsuit UMG over Not Like Us. Now you might think this is just an individual squabble with the label, but that's not what it is. This is going to destroy or hinder free speech. And the way it's going to do so is it's going to make UMG responsible if Drake gets this lawsuit across. UMG is going to be held responsible. What that's going to do is that the distributor, which is what UMG is doing here, it's a distributor, or the label is now going to be held responsible for what the artists say on their records, which means that now labels and distributors are going to be very careful about what music that they promote or put out there. They're going to be screening what the artists are creating. And what that means is now the artist is going to have to cater to UMG's fears about getting sued the way they got sued by Drake. So if you think that this is just impacting hip hop, that is an absolute lie. This is going to impact all artists if Drake is successful in this. All artists are going to have a hard time engaging in free speech to the max. And this is a serious problem because music historically, right? Music historically has been an important means for, making political speeches, okay, social commentary, right? Like music has been a real instrument of creating change in this way, and it's through specifically the expression of free speech through music. So taking that away takes away free speech, I think, not just from, artists who might want to be saying like, batshit crazy stuff. I think it's going to impact anybody who wants to make any sort of comment, including those that I think need to be heard by the general community. Right? So free speech generally going to be destroyed by Drake. Okay. And this is the one that I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if this is true. It was just during the diss tracks. Okay, the people haven't been paying attention, okay? Drake's history with underage girls is well documented, okay? And I want to point this out for a reason. It's along with all these other things that I've been pointing out, okay, including the fact that, you might disagree about my assessment of his music, but the fact that he's being inauthentic and so on, like a lot of these are fairly well documented. You want to argue with me about whether or not he has fake abs? He definitely does. If you know anything about how abs form, like the visible abs, then you know that those pictures that he put up where his abs are the only thing that's sculpted makes absolutely no sense. But all these things I point out with regards to the ethics of it, like I said, Drake puts it out himself, and this includes the underage stuff. I think the problem is that a lot of people haven't been paying attention carefully, and that's what bothers me, is that there's a well-documented history of his weird relationships with underage girls that people are letting slide because I don't know what they're waiting for. Where they're waiting for legally for the cops to come after him and then to arrest him and for him to be prosecuted. Like we know this. Harvey Weinstein got away with all kinds of atrocious behavior for an insane amount of time. R. Kelly, P. Diddy. They all got away with this stuff for a really long time before they were officially arrested and charged with the crimes that they committed. And along the way, one of the things you find as a commonality in all these stories is that the people around them knew, and they were engaging in, at least documented, adjacent to the creepy stuff behavior, right? So it's not as if people didn't know that something was up with this person. And so I think dismissing Drake's behaviors with regards to, these groomer pedo allegations should not be taken lightly. And some of these, again, like I said, are well documented. So Millie Bobby Brown is the one that I think jumps to my mind, and that's partly because there's a whole article written about Drake's weird relationship with Millie Bobby Brown. There should be no reason for a 30-year-old to be texting a 15-year-old, which was Millie Bobby Brown's age at the time, I think, like 15 or something like that, texting her like what is it, dating advice? Like that's creepy stuff. If an adult that age was chatting with my daughter, at 15 years old, that person's I'm gonna lay them flat on the ground. Like that's gonna be my mission in life, is to go ahead and break that person's back. Right, that's gonna be the goal, because there's no reason you should be engaging in this sort of behavior. It's at best it's weird and tone deaf. At worst, this is an indication of something far more sinister, grooming like behavior. But Millie Bobby Brown is not even the only one. I think there's been documented weirdness with Haley. I guess it would be now Haley Bieber. That they were talking to each other before she turned 18, and right when she turned 18, they were seen out in public and so on. Like, he does a lot of this kind of stuff. He also was in contact with Billie Eilish when she was, I'm not even sure if I'm spelling these names correctly. Billie Eilish when she was underage. Like, this is weird groomer pedo behavior. So, fine. Maybe you're not thinking like he's part of some sex trafficking ring. In the least, I mean, there's videos of him touching up on like a 16-year-old girl on stage, finding out her age, and then continuing to comment on her body in some weird ways. Oh my goodness. You know what I realized? There's actually more. Oh, goodness gracious. The gambling thing is also connected with his weird relationship with streamers. So these are like the manosphere streamer types. These are like the MAGA types. Like, these are really creepy dudes that he engages with online. I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, it's weird that he went in the direction of hanging out with streamers. I don't know if the reason for that is he wants to reach like younger kids. Like, again, weird behavior that is adjacent to really horrible stuff. So, look, if you're waiting for something, official actions to happen, I think you need to rethink the way that you evaluate people. A lot of times we have the clues right in front of us. With Drake, there are plenty of clues. As I pointed out in this beautiful mind map, which if you want to, decorate with beautiful colors, which is not completely necessary, but, these are the core reasons that I firmly believe, and this is especially with the ethics stuff, right? Going from bad to worse, and it starts off bad and it gets even worse, right? That there's so much that we could say about Drake that I think it's pretty clear that you might want to steer clear, hide your little sister from him. Everything that, basically, Kendrick just said everything that I think everybody else should have already known, and he just said it in a catchy way. So, it's not about the beef. It's not about Kendrick. It's not about any of these things. It's about the fact that Drake himself, this dude, weirdo. Stay away from him. And I personally think you probably should not be complicit in his bad behavior by streaming his music, listening to his really trash music, and supporting him financially through those means. Okay? Don't give him that kind of power. Okay, the next thing that we do need to talk about at some point is, it's not Drake that is my biggest concern. It's actually going to be Drake fans. These are the real creepers. Well, maybe not creepers. Maybe, let's see. We're going to do some psychologizing, let's say. But, I'm not going to do a whole nother mind map of Drake fans unless people actually want me to do so. I just did the Drake thing for fun. But if you do want me to do a mind map of Drake fans and do some psychoanalysis of them and what's going on, like, subscribe, or something. I don't know, a comment, something to indicate that you actually want it. And the reason for it is in order for me to do a proper job, not just something that I'm pulling out of my rear end, but something that I've thought through, I might have to go ahead and enter into the dreaded Drizzy Reddit and read a bunch of fans talk about Drake in the worst possible way. It's going to make my eyes bleed, and if I'm going to suffer, I'm not going to suffer for nothing. So I'm only going to do it if you ask for it. So if you want me to do a mind map of Drake fans, then please go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, or comment, and let me know that that's what you want. And I'll try to set aside time to go ahead and do some research and do that for you. All right. That's it. I hope you have a great rest of the day.